They're cute and furry. Kids adore them. They taught us to eat carrots. We had Bugs. We had Brer. Would his name be Brer? Yeah, I guess we had his name. I mean, that actually just means Mister. Oh, I'm getting really confused now. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, Jessica and White. Wait, again, is his name White? Like White Rabbit? Oh, all right, forget that. Let's just go right into the Masters of the Universe bunny rabbit. Plundor. Yep, Masters of the Universe has one of those too. What? They got a clown, they got a cook, and we've got a rabbit. Wait, that would actually make a really disturbing story. Forget about that. All right, yes, Plundor. Not one of Skeletor's minions, a self-sustaining villain, which is also a major reason I was excited to bring this character into the line, because when you can have a villain that's not Skeletor, but is just as powerful, if you will, or, is also a, I guess, leader of a faction, even though his faction is just made up of slaves. The point being is he's not a Skeletor bumbling henchman. He's his own thing. And what he is a space rabbit. A space rabbit that likes to steal and plunder and, well, hence his name is Plundor. And, what can I say? Filmation loved creating their own characters because they weren't on any contractual obligation to Mattel to use Mattel's characters. And I guess they just wanted their own cartoon rabbit. They felt there was a lack of cartoon rabbits in this world, at least a lack of purple cartoon rabbits that sat on intergalactic thrones barking orders. See, there's something. There wasn't one of those. Still trying to figure out if Brer and White are their first names. Okay, let's move on before I get all, rabbit in the head. So, Plundor came into Masters of the Universe Classics, and it's very important to notice what he came with, which is this shiny, shiny blue axe with a little light bulb at the top. And this, you'll note, is Skeletor's axe. It was always designed for Skeletor. It's not Plundor's item. It's the axe that Skeletor had on several Filmation episodes. And it was included with Plundor in order to pay off an older figure. Much like we did with Strobo, how he came with a second head that wasn't for him. The head was for a previous release Zodak, that's Zodak with a K, that's the black version, as opposed to the white version, as opposed to this tan version. I don't know, they all have versions. But yeah, so that head plugs right onto Zodak there on your right, and now he can have the unmasked head, which we couldn't afford to give him when we first tooled him up because he had to be a straight repaint. He used Zodak's head in front and center. All right, so getting back to Plundor, besides delivering Skeletor his much-needed axe, why in the world include the symbol of Easter, happiness, and all things rabbit? Well, there was a personal, I'm not going to call it a vendetta. No, it's not a vendetta, because it wasn't revenge. It was just a quest. There's no revenge here at all. This was just a crazy toy quest. See, Star Wars has this character called Jackson, who is also a space rabbit. He is a green space rabbit, as opposed to Plundor, who is a purple space rabbit. I know, colors. Go watch my video on characters of color. I'll link it at the end of this. All right, point being is, while Jackson started off a little bit more alien-esque, he quickly embraced the rabbit side of the Force and really took on those characteristics, including the buck teeth and the partially flattened ear. And yes, Star Wars had its own space rabbit. When Disney purchased from Lucasfilm the rights to everything Star Wars and Indiana Jones, they also got Jackson and, of course, turned him a little bit more kid-friendly in their Star Wars Adventures comic. Makes sense. Disney's the king of creating animated rabbits. Well, not Bugs Bunny, obviously, except in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where he appeared in... Okay, anyway, so Jackson here had a toy, and that was in the Black Series, much as this Duros only appeared in the Galactic Heroes line. So characters that never made it into 3 3/4, but had toys, and in other scales. And Jackson here, as a Black Series figure, I wanted to beat Star Wars Hasbro to the market with the Space Bunny. So I thought, let's get, getting out Plundor in the first year of Filmation rights was definitely part of that kind of challenge. It's like, can we get our Space Bunny out first? And, well, it turned out that it was actually years and years and years until Hasbro / Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Disney, etc. put out theirs. And, there were some people who looked at ours and thought it was not, MOTUC enough. It was too comic-y, and, what could it look like if it was more vicious? I guess, the original wave of MOTUC figures like Beastman, etc., and the original Merman head, although that actually is kind of animated looking. Boy, these arguments really go in circles and circles within squares and trapezoids. So, yes, despite the fact that he's based on a cartoon rabbit, we embrace that. And that actually also included one of his lost accessories. So, in the episode, Plundor one episode of Filmation. He has these giant robots that look like eggs with bunny ears because, eggs and bunnies go together. It makes sense. I still don't understand Easter. Anyway, so yes, bunnies, giant, monster robot drones. That's the word I'm looking for. And originally we were going to include one with Plundor. But unfortunately, we couldn't. They were way, way over cost, and the tooling budget just wasn't there at the end of the year. So that's a big reason that he got Skeletor's axe, because we had just enough to give him a cool accessory, and wanting to give fans an accessory that would pay off a former figure was important. All right, so why am I now showing you Plundor's butt? Well, there's an issue related to that, and that's the fact that I really like having figures on model, correct, to their content, to their previous figures, etc., etc. I didn't know till way afterwards that Plundor had a tail, like a full-on, cottontail, only purple. I don't think we ever see it in the show. Maybe we do. I don't know if I went back and watched the episode, shot by shot. I think we just looked at a lot of still images, and obviously, there are backs of people shown, from the backside, so we would have seen this, the tail, if Plundor turned around. But yeah, I don't know. Something tells me I just have no cognitive memory. I'm sure someone's going to put in the comment section a link to an image showing the tail on the show. But at the time, and even now, I had a hard time finding a still image. And sorry, I just don't have the time to go back and freeze frame through the episode right now. But yeah, while fans were, quick to shout out things that, were technically off for lots of figures, I was still a little surprised at the crickets, that there was no one complaining that we did not give Plundor a cotton tail. And considering some of the other things that were major issues, well, I was glad to get off easy. I think most of the anger towards Plundor was already used up, because just the fact that we were giving people in the sub a more animated looking character with those big eyes, that they were feeling like, ugh, this is not what I signed the main subscription for. The second sub is for that. So Cottontail Gate was kind of avoided because people were, focusing on the fact that a Filmation figure was in the main line. But, they weren't exclusive to the add-on sub. We did Filmation figures in the main line before and after. And yes, some of the Filmation characters do look a little bit more animated because of the eyes. But, even go look at, Mantenna. And there's plenty of googly-eyed characters. Clawful, original vintage Clawful. All right, so this month, which is December 2013, had a lot of sort of odd offerings. And so I think Plundor just kind of tipped the scales of the oddities that were going on between Standor and, so a Filmation character in the main line. Again, Fangman, and also after this, we continued to do it. So had we, I guess at the end of the day, for December 2013, we had two Filmation characters. We had Plundor and we had Strongarm or Strongor. We'll get into that next week or next time. So yeah, could we have swapped them and done Strongor as the mainline figure and Plundor as the club Filmation figure to give the the character with the more googly eyes into the animated line? Yes, absolutely. But the thing is, if you recall, because we couldn't do the egg drones, we did the Skeletor axe. And if we put this in the club Filmation, then not everyone would get the Skeletor axe. And we felt that everyone was going to want this, and he was also ready to go, I think. That also had to do with it. But yeah, either one, I guess, could have been in that slot. Could we have avoided this if we'd swapped them? Who knows? Maybe there'd be a whole other, it'd be Axegate.